It's Hearthstone Grandmasters for the European region, our fifth and final match of day number 1 here on That's Admirable. I'm joined by Darroch Brown, and Darroch, we have got a barn burner of a match.
We do. It's a mirror match, both in terms of exact lineups and friends. These two players are definitely friends.
I was hoping you'd go way deeper because there's also pace of play.
Yes, that's true.
Identical card list. I'm secondary and tertiary as well. 30 for 30 exactly.
Yes.
This was a replay of the World Championship match that took place in top 4.
Yes.
Where Viper earned his spot for Grandmasters by defeating Bunnyhoppor.
But also the power of friendship.
Also records. They're both 2-2.
That is also true.
They're both named after animals.
That is also true.
More importantly, they're both friends. Let's take a look at the deck lists. If you've seen one, you've seen them both.
Here we have it, the mid-range Beast Hunter that Bunnyhoppor brought last week, actually, I believe, and having a pretty good amount of success with it, winning both his games, I believe, last week. It's a pretty standard list of this Beast Hunter, opting for 2 Scale Hides, which a lot of players have phased out. And up against Viper's identical Beast Hunter deck list, there can be some pretty interesting ways that you have to play this. I know that you and TJ were practicing this matchup a fair bit, and you had some interesting results in terms of what you're looking to do in this matchup.
Yeah, and we're going to take a look at Viper's deck right now. Imagine that Bunnyhoppor says Viper in this instance. Oh, there it is. It's the exact same thing. TJ and I played this quite a bit yesterday, and sort of our determination was there is a plan for the secondary deck, but that overall, we still think that swapping to the secondary deck means about the same thing in terms of the matchup. It's really a lot about having fuel to pressure, but at the same time, having backup to your opponent's swing turns and having enough gas to keep going afterwards. If a player fails to have enough gas to keep going, I think that that's the end of the game, basically.
I agree. I think a lot of the time with this deck, if you don't find specifically Master's Call, you do run out of stuff to do pretty quickly.
And so my question for yesterday was, if you have Master's Call, how does that change the way the rest of your hand works?
Okay.
The other card that I considered keeping, and then at the end I concluded this is important, was Headhunter's Hatchet. And it's because it works akin to the same way that Master's Call does. It just chips away at a lot of your opponent's stuff. And when you're eliminating that many things, what that means is you're generating the extra resources. You're starting to gas your opponent out, and you're keeping the gas that you have. You don't have to fight with minions. You get to fight with your life total instead. So for Bunnyhoppor, I think his mulligan is really the tough one here, where I really want to keep Scavenging Hyena.
Right.
I really enjoy keeping Deadly Shot. Marked Shot was another card that I found really important. But the cards go pretty evenly, and there's not a lot of super aggressive opportunity that either player has.
I think that's the really important distinguishing factor, is that contrary to, for example, a Rogue Mirror, where it's super volatile, as soon as one player gets the advantage and starts pushing damage phase, it basically just ends a lot of the time because there's not much healing. You can just push a lot of damage to face. In this matchup, when you have so much removal, you have the healing with Vicious Scale Hides plus Dire Frenzy, you can, a lot of the time, I think, find yourself in a scenario where going super aggressive is not the best course of action.
What a tough tracking on turn
Real
2.
tough.
Yep.
Wow.
Okay, so that tells me now that there is a much higher possibility for the secondary deck, because I had surmised yesterday that Savannah Highmanes would be the way to go in game number 2.
Of switching over to the secondary.
Switching over to the secondary, that includes Savannah Highmane. Unleash the Beast and Savannah Highmane, I think, are functioning pretty close in tandem. I think Unleash the Beast is a bit better due to its flexibility. But the way that the matchup was going was all of our stuff was trading in, and then if you were able to get the final clear into Savannah Highmane, that was about as close to game over as it was going to be.
Yeah, super tough for the Hunter to deal with that minion.
The fact that Bunnyhoppor took Unleash the Beast over both Dire Frenzy and over the Scavenging Hyena tells me the Hyena's not that important, but that you need it. But that Unleash the Beast and generating tempo and value on turn 6 when everything is clear is the most important measure.
As this is just looking like a pretty even game so far. I'd say Viper has access to slightly more aggressive options, I suppose, with a... actually, is that even true? If Bunnyhoppor goes wide, then obviously Unleash the Hounds gets bigger, but Springpaw, should he find a Scavenging Hyena, is where he could maybe start to push some kind of an early advantage.
I also think there's some merit to just playing 2 Springpaws.
That's true.
Depending on what stage your opponent's going into, like what turn they're going into and how you want to manipulate their mana, lest they be checked by Dire Frenzy. I think that that's really the form of disruption you have in the matchup is proactive disruption, and that's why Bunnyhopper's foregoing the additional charge here and saying, I just need ways to cleanly fight for board. I don't want to have to not play Master's Call next turn.
Yes.
Oh. Technical Hearthstone. It's so beautiful.
It really is. And these first few turns, while they may seem so innocuous, there's already so many decisions have been made. Mulligan, tracking, even just the choice to go for not double Springpaw, not even Headhunter's Hatchet, but Coin Master's Call here for Viper. This is intriguing to me when his hand clearly says, Coin is good with this. Just being able to go Coin Unleash the Beast into Unleash the Beast would have been a very powerful 1-2 punch.
Yeah, this turn for me on Vipers is very interesting, mostly because of how his hand interacts with Animal Companion. I think right now, that's the card that Bunnyhoppor needed, was Animal Companion exactly. I think that does a number on where Viper stands this game.
Okay. Yeah, I guess Viper wouldn't have much ability to answer it back straight away, but that's the weird thing about this Beast Hunter deck is you don't have to kill everything off straight away, because as soon as they build up a board, you can start to go for Timberwolf, Unleash the Hound, Springpaw, Scavenging Hyena plays to wrestle things back.
And to me, that's part of what's interesting about it as well, is that, you know, if Viper runs into an Animal Companion here that doesn't get cleared, what it just buys is Bunnyhoppor the ability to chip away. Yeah. It's so much harder for Viper to get that final clear with Unleash the Beast if Bunnyhopper's the one that just stays 1 minion ahead. You don't get 1 minion ahead and then just dump everything to the board. Just keep finding efficient ways to make sure that your opponent's not blowing you out of the water with Scavenging Hyena, and that you're also finding ways to chip away at life total for that final blow.
And so now the quote-unquote payoff, I suppose, for the Coin Master's Call, you could argue should be coming in here for Viper, but he doesn't really have that much that's all too strong to play on this turn. I think I like holding back on all the beasts. He does, like, obviously Scavenging Hyena just gets killed. Vicious Scalehide to threaten a Dire Frenzy, even though you don't have one, is interesting.
That is a play that TJ and I were bouncing back and forth with. I think when you've seen a Master's Call and there's a Hatchet play,
it's likely to die.
Much less effective, but until you've seen either of those things, I think that the Vicious Scalehide on its own does have a lot of merit. Whether or not you should be doing that, another story.
But for both players here, like you said, it's really the threat of response that holds these players back. Because obviously on this turn, we could just see Bunnyhoppor go with Scavenging Hyena plus Springpaw, and then a Shimmerfly, I suppose. It makes a minion that potentially could not be answered. But the thing is, there's so many cards that so likely kill it off on the following turn.
I think this is the turn to do it, though.
Really?
Because the reason is you start to work towards your Dire Frenzy payoff. You have Tundra Rhino that you could add for a payoff, and then that ultimately gives you that final clear with the Unleash the Beast, which is the turn you're seeking.
I guess so.
I like this turn.
It plays pretty cleanly into Mark Shot, though, for Viper. He can clear off everything then. Or sorry, with the swing of the weapon, you can bleed 1 minion alive. Oh no, he has to sacrifice off. Yeah, you can kill everything off with Mark Shot.
Oh! Whew.
But then I guess for Bunnyhoppor, if he doesn't go for it there, when is there a good time to go for the...
Look at the response window here, though. So Mark Shot happens, clear off Shimmerfly.
Yeah.
Then Bunnyhoppor has option for Dire Frenzy or for Tundra Rhino. Viper doesn't have coin anymore.
Yeah.
That gives you Unleash the Beast for the final clear. So I think as soon as you get the Unleash the Beast clear, that's when things start to snowball.
That's true. Yeah, I suppose getting down Tundra Rhino next turn is tempting because you never want to play that into turn 6 because they can Unleash the Beast, and that is a miserable trade for you.
I think Viper has a high chance to very much respect a Tundra Rhino as well.
Oh yeah, if that comes down, he pretty much has to kill it off. And so even with the Mark Shot being able to pretty cleanly clear it off, he's coming to, I think, probably the same conclusion you did, of just saying, just removing is not good enough. I want to swing the board back in my favor, which he can pretty easily do. Clear off all the minions. Has to chunk 4 damage, but that's not the end of the world.
It's so poetic.
These guys are like They're kindred spirits. Viper and Bunnyhoppor. Friends who draw mark shot together, stay together.
That's what my dad used to say.
Had no idea what he was talking about.
Yeah, it was really weird.
Long before Hearthstone was released.
It's pretty smart looking back on it, though.
He was a visionary.
Interesting options here for Bunnyhoppor as well.
I mean, I have to be honest, I was looking at a pretty snap Wing Blast there. Beast Within is interesting, I guess. And I guess Bestial Wrath could actually be used to swing.
The idea to me that Beast Within can unleash the beast, use the effect, and then also do something else with the effect is appealing. I think that when it boils down to it, Wing Blast is just the most generically good one.
Yes, I agree. Like, they're all 1 mana do something immediately cards, and I think just 1 mana deal 4 damage is so powerful you can't really blast out.
As a pretty minor prerequisite in this matchup.
Yes. Especially due to the fact that he doesn't really have all too much removal in hand. He's just got mostly minions.
And look what Bunnyhoppor is now wiped out from Viper, the mark shot. So we have a first break of parity.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. I wonder if, therefore, because for Viper, if he had gone for marked shot on the previous turn, he would have been able to... Well, would he have developed a Hyena onto an empty board? That's not very good, right?
Well, what would Bunnyhoppor have done this turn? I mean, he would have done something. I think he would have Dire Frenzied this turn instead.
If we had seen marked shot from Viper last turn.
Right, and so what that means is that Viper would instead be on a kill command turn instead of anything else. So I think this panned out as best for Viper as it was going to.
And I'm thinking back now to the options that he picked off of tracking on turn 1 as well, where he took the Spring Pull, but he could have taken like Animal Companion, I think was the other option there. Just already turn 5 in a mirror match, and so many different things could have been done over the course of this game. As for Bunnyhoppor, I think the real fear for him at the moment is that Viper could have Dire Frenzy, which you want to be pretty careful about giving your opponent a good Dire Frenzy target so early on.
Yeah, I think he's hunting for a better turn than Unleash the Beast.
Right.
And seeing what the iterations are.
Do you think he will find one?
No, I don't. I think it's very difficult to do.
Well, so we could see Timberwolf buff it up, attack into the 1/1, and then Wing Blast the Vicious Scalehide. It kind of just develops less.
Yeah, I think it's like a 5/4.
And I think also the fact, like, shuffling beasts into your deck at the moment is actually kind of bad, because I think you would rather find your card draw effects than find 4/4 Timberwolves at the moment.
This game is getting cool. This also steals a lot of initiative away from Viper now.
Yeah.
Where it's difficult for him to threaten a single minion because he knows that Bunnyhoppor has Unleashed the Beast. So his plays have to be honest at this stage.
And so he's not developing onto the board and saying, if you want to play your Unleashed the Beast, it's going to be a 6-mana 5/5.
Revenge of the Wild.
Or is it Rat Trap?
Revenge of the Wild. Unleash Revenge of the Wild turns.
How likely is Bunny to play into that, though?
I mean, eventually he's got to do something.
Does he, though? I like this. I like this a lot. I think this is giving respect to Bunnyhoppor that he will not give you that ungood of a Revenge of the Wild turn.
That's a true story.
As obviously, this is a randomly discovered secret. It's not one that is in the deck.
Ah, yes.
So Bunnyhoppor has no idea what secret it is.
There are no secrets in the deck.
Exactly. Exactly.
I wonder.
And even if there were, obviously, seen from whence in the hand it was played.
To my side.
Well, that's getting Dire Frenzied. Oh. I'd be shocked if that didn't get Dire Frenzied.
I would be shocked as well, even with no idea as to what this secret is. Dire Frenzy Huffer is just insane. The amount of damage that can pile on now.
It just hurts just to watch it. 7 damage!
For 3 mana that charges.
All right, I am officially scared for Viper now.
Yep, same. With no access to Dire Frenzy as of yet, he cannot heal up all too effectively with the Vicious Scalehide.
The respect he's paying for the value of Kill Command as well. He knows if he's going to get in this game, Kill Command is going to be the way to do it. I can't just develop a minion. That just throws away the minion because he knows that Bunny has Unleashed the Beast. So he has to have Kill Command both as a cheap answer and to have it to potentially push the game back. I mean, he's behind 7 health from that Huffer.
And so I guess if you're not going to spend the rest of your mana anyway, you may as well go for Unleash the Beast over Deadly Shot or Kill Command. Okay. Bunnyhoppor now is starting to rule out certain possibilities. It could still be Snipe because he hasn't played a minion, but he has now ruled out Explosive Trap and Freezing Trap.
And Misdirection.
And Misdirection, yes, good point, out of the potential pool of secrets. So it could still now be Rat Trap, Snake Trap. I think that's it. Rat Trap and Snake Trap, and Snipe, sorry, as the potential options. And he will start to realize those very, very quickly indeed.
Moves quickly.
Yep. So now, Viper gets some pretty real opportunity here, where he's like, okay, Unleash the Beast is gone.
Okay.
Stuff can stay in play. It's possible now.
Yes, that's true.
So what's the best way to get stuff in play?
So how likely is Tundra Rhino to deliver a large amount of damage in one turn this game? Should he save it for some kind of a big combo with Timberwolves, Hyenas, whatever else? Or should he just throw it down as a threat that has to be removed to limit Bunnyhoppor's mana?
That is a good question to me, because the way that I look at Tundra Rhinos for tempo is, number one, you're leading the game, and so it threatens something to your opponent, which you can take advantage of. Or number two, you're not leading the game, in which case you need Tundra Rhino to finish your opponent.
And I think for Viper here, if there was no secret, Deadly Shot Tundra Rhino would be a relatively easy play. It's the fact that there's that secret there, which could be a freezing trap. We can see it is a freezing trap. And he's got to be pretty careful about that.
Moves quickly.
I don't think it's the worst thing in the world.
It's pretty bad.
It does hurt, though.
That hurts a lot. You just developed nothing on this turn.
Oh my gosh, it's such a large minion. 7/5 Huffer. There's 2 more of them.
Doing all right there, buddy?
I am, yes. I'm not facing Huffers that are 7/5s from the top of the deck.
This feels like a reenactment of, you know, those videos of the first ever film to be shown of a train driving towards the camera and the people watching it just freak out. When the Huffer's drawn, you're like, gah! Oh, I thought it was real for a second.
Well, it's real. That's happening.
Well, it's real enough for Viper, because boy, oh boy, is he dying this game.
I mean, Bunnyhoppor can just kill command face here. There's no way Viper wins from this spot.
Vicious Scale Hide plus Dire Frenzy off the top is kind of a thing.
That's the one way I think he can win this game.
Yeah,
actually.
because obviously Bunnyhoppor has super lethal next turn with the Rhino Timberwolf and all the Lynxes.
Now I'm just picturing a beautiful advertisement. Super lethal. 3 times as much lethal as normal.
Yeah.
That's about what he has, too.
He has a very healthy amount of lethal. Viper has no outs for lethal of his own. He cannot heal. He cannot taunt. He dead.
Yeah, Huffer Dire Frenzy was.
That was just it.
So now that does kind of make me curious about the animal companions early. Perhaps you don't want them early. Perhaps you want them for that potential spike. You want stuff to fight with.
I guess maybe.
Ow.
I don't know. Without exactly Huffer, it's not even that good. But there we have it. Bunnyhoppor taking game 1 in, again, this exact mirror match in terms of lineups, both of these players being practice partners.
Yeah, and so that one you see the advantage of attacker's initiative, A, and then B, you see the cost of Viper using the coin in that instance. He's always a step behind in that manner. Now, I don't think that game pans out differently if he saves coin. I think we're going to see about the same result. It's the failure for either player to really have a potential to pressure and really stressing the importance of swinging turns rather than answering turns.
Yes, I think that's what the matchup generally boils down to, is you want to do something super impressive with your cards, because they essentially, Beast Hunter is a deck that does many small combos. If you just play out your minions on curve, generally it's not powerful enough to win against a lot of decks, unless it's the likes of Mage, which don't really have any answers to kill them off anyway. But I do wonder there, because Viper basically skipped his turn 5 where he wasn't able to play the Unleash the Beast yet or the Marked Shot because Bunny had a clear board. If he had saved the coin, maybe he would have been able to go for coin, Unleash the Beast into Unleash the Beast there. It would have been a very different game indeed. And I think not skipping basically an entire turn's worth of tempo might have been his way back into that game.
I agree. Just a pretty tough spot for him. Got to have the goods in this matchup. You have to be threatening and you have to be swinging the board. Game 2's coming up. We're going to find out if they're swapping over these Savannah Highmanes. I think they are, but I think there's also a chance that only one of them does or neither of them do. So we're going to find out. Quick break, and then game number 2 is coming up.
I am Frosty. I am an Australian Hearthstone player. My first reaction to being in Grandmasters was I was ecstatic. You know, I was absolutely bouncing around the walls, and then it sort of came crashing back down to me that it felt like I had these huge expectations because I realized that I was the only Australian person in all of Grandmasters. I didn't want to let anybody down. One of the things I'd like to do this year is I'd like to make worlds through the new system. I want to be able to prove to people that I'm not just, you know, a weak competitor in this field and that I'm definitely a contender to be one of the strongest. When it comes to playstyle, I am a big fan of building big creatures and just smashing my opponent in the face. I feel that it's really important to be able to have another focus besides Hearthstone in your life so that you don't get burnt out. I am a martial arts instructor. I have been doing martial arts for 20 years at this point. It's been a huge part of my life. It really helps me focus on something that I need to do and get it done. I feel like I've got a really good opportunity within this first season to really prove to everyone that I'm not just an underdog and that I'm here to stay.
Hey guys, my name is Tyler. So I used to work in fashion. I used to run a website called OOTD Magazine, so Outfit of the Day Magazine. And my username on all social media platforms was just Tyler OOTD. And naturally, I just took the name Tyler OOTD as well in Hearthstone. It just kind of stuck. Being in Grandmaster, it means a lot to me. I've known that I was one of the best players in the world, but I really never had a way to define myself as what am I doing with Hearthstone, who am I? And right now, when people ask me that question, I can simply tell them I'm a Hearthstone Grandmaster. My personal goals for this year, I definitely want to create more content. I want to help people get better at the game. My other goal is to win the Grandmaster League. I feel like the Grandmaster League and the Specialist format are perfect for me. I've always been known for grinding that one deck hundreds and hundreds of thousands of games and getting really good at it and understanding the deck better than anyone else. And I feel like I will be able to show those strong points with Specialists. I'm a very free spirit. I really enjoy the feeling of anything can happen in this life, in this world. And that type of adventure, that's how I like to live life.
Tyler and Frosty both picking up wins today in Asia Pacific Grandmasters. You can catch them tomorrow and Sunday. Those times that it starts are 2 a.m. Pacific time, which is 11 a.m. Central European time. That's when Asia Pacific starts. Right. It's a pretty tough schedule to catch if you're going to catch all 18 hours of Hearthstone per day, as Soddle is doing right now. But we're moving on to game number 2 here of Bunnyhoppor versus Viper. Both players have moved on to their secondary deck. Told you, TJ. And 2 Savannah Highmanes, Unleash the Beasts get added in. We're taking out an Unleash the Hounds, a Headhunter's Hatchet, and a Tracking. Let's take a look at Vipers to see exactly what this looks like now.
I think I can agree with your assessment as to why you would switch over to this deck. While it does seem primarily an anti-warrior list, it's obviously quite a light substitution, only going for 3 cards as opposed to the maximum of 5 that you can swap in with your secondary deck. And I think that's pretty smart, because you're already in a very good spot against Warrior, I would say, with this Beast Hunter. And therefore, by switching in enough cards, you still make it a very good deck to switch to against the likes of the Mirror, for example, where you have that little bit of extra threat and pressure in the mid-game. When, for example, in these games, if both players had just been able to throw down a Savannah Highmane, it would have been pretty good.
Yeah.
Unless you get hit with the Huffer and the Dire Frenzy. Aside from that.
But that's what I mean, though. Like, so talk about to game number 1 where you're like, oh, you don't just get Huffer. Like, sometimes in Hearthstone, it's about creating opportunities as well. Like, sure, Animal Companion on 3, I'm not going to complain about that. I'm not going to tell anyone they shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
But the opportunity of Dire Frenzy on a Huffer is then gone. So in game number 1, I think that has a lot more premise than it does in game number 2, where
Yeah.
you know you have 4 6-cost cards in your deck now, and you have Master's Call to grab 2 of them. Like you probably need to get going a little bit more. But in game number 1, I could totally see hanging on to Animal Companion and trying to Dire Frenzy a Huffer on.
Very
I could
possibly.
I could genuinely see that.
So I have an interesting question for you here. With Viper holding onto the Headhunter's Hatchet here, I agree it's generally a pretty good card, and I think the main reason it's good is it stops your opponent from going for some of the plays that they really want to, like just playing out Hyena, playing out Timberwolf, stuff like that. Do you think, because both players know that they keep the Hatchet in the mulligan, that Viper could have got away with not keeping it in the mulligan because the threat of it is still there for Bunnyhoppor?
I think that you keep it, and the reason I think you keep it is because the Hatchet, while it fights off aggression, it can also open aggression.
That's true.
And so for me, when Viper plays Shimmerfly here, and then he goes in Headhunter's Hatchet, he's now prompting Bunny to have to respond.
That's true.
You know, your opponent doesn't always have to respond to nominal pressure, but when you start compounding it, they definitely need to. And so when you have an opening hand like Shimmerfly, Hatchet, Animal Companion, I feel like
Pretty good.
this forces Bunnyhoppor to have it.
Yeah.
And I
That's
think when you got
and-
force them to have it hands, whew, those are my favorite.
They are indeed.
Quickly.
I guess Hatchet is. I guess it's just good, right? Like it's just a powerful
Yeah.
card. It doesn't do anything in particular. It's just strong. Ooh, man, this is a hand from Viper.
So from Viper's side, I am curious if the Hyena ever
Right.
actually prompts a Hatchet, like in terms of a force play. It's really hard for Bunnyhoppor to develop into a Scavenging Hyena without checking it.
I think if Hyena were to be played here and Bunnyhoppor had the Hatchet, he'd be pretty happy to throw it down.
Because something that I think is really powerful as well is being able to play Hyena, and if it doesn't get checked, you smash Animal
Yes.
Companion to play, and then your opponent's in real trouble.
I guess Animal Companion is a pretty good follow-up to Hyena. I was thinking like he doesn't have any Unleash or Spring Pause, so it's not that likely to get up to crazy sizes.
Make 'em have it plays are so good. I love them.
Oh, and in this instance, Bunnyhoppor does have it just.
Wow.
Just. That was a huge pickup there for Bunnyhoppor.
Hatchet would work as well.
But the good thing is for Viper, he's still in a good spot. Even if the punish is
Yeah.
here in the form of being able to kill it off, this is why I think it was a good play, because next turn, just Animal Companion.
Yeah, it's not even a punish. It's Bunnyhoppor having an answer.
Yes, exactly.
Um,
And if it's not removed off, there's a huge upside.
He's also expending like a pretty important answer, I think, all things considered. Like you're
That's
very
true.
happy to see that it's Spring Pause instead of Hatchet.
Board completely cleared yet again. Viper definitely coming ahead in terms of resources here. As he can just follow up with yet more pressure.
Yep. And this now, Viper in the driver's seat of what Bunnyhoppor was doing last game, where he's playing Animal Companion and putting Bunnyhoppor in a position where, do you coin a marked shot here?
Yeah.
And if you coin marked shot, look what happened to Viper in game 1.
That's true. You have much less ability to play out on curve. I think it would be a little bit smoother for Bunnyhoppor because he can then follow up with Master's Call turn 4, turn 5. He can just play out his minions. Leading up to, I guess, hopefully for his sake, either Unleash the Beast or Savannah Highmane, of which there are 2 of each in the deck.
Think about the coin difference, though. If Viper plays
Yes.
Savannah Highmane on 6, Bunnyhoppor is very unlikely to have a proper response. I'm just not sure he has an option to leave this up.
I think if Dire Frenzy was not a card that existed, he would very happily go Master's Call there. I think the potential for a 7/7 Misha to come down is just way too scary.
Yeah,
He just has to. He just dies if that happens.
You're done if that happens.
And this is what's so crazy about these mirror matches with the Hunters, is that even though Viper went perfect 1-2-3 curve, both players are still at 30 health, the board is still clear, they both have a good amount of resources. It really does just cancel each other out.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, that's good.
I love that card.
He did find Savannah Highmane, which is a little bit scary because his upcoming plays could be a lot weaker.
Yeah, that's definitely true. But, you know, we're looking at 20% of the deck right now for Viper is 6-cost draws.
That's
They're
true.
the big payoff draws.
Yeah. That's a good way of looking at it.
So you got 2 turns to draw it. That sounds like your favorite to draw it to me.
Got decent odds.
Yeah,
Pretty good odds. Yeah.
it's pretty good odds.
Yeah, and even if he doesn't, it's not like those are the only good cards in his deck. He could still hit Dire Frenzy, another Master's Call, Tundra Rhino. There's a bunch of good stuff for Viper.
Yeah. So if you take into account 2 trackings, and you take into account Master's Call, both of those are only super relevant next turn. The other 2, he has a 36% chance to see at least 1 on turn 6.
Okay.
It's a little bit more than that, but
Quickly.
More or less.
yeah.
I wonder.
Tough turn again here, though, for Bunnyhoppor.
No kidding.
I think he has very much the opportunity to, I should say, sorry, he's not forced into playing Master's Call this turn, because going Master's Call next turn into Savannah Highmane on turn 6 is still a very reasonable series of plays he could go for.
Ooh.
It's pretty good.
Is this the turn for it, though?
Yeah, we could see. So we could see what? Scavenging Hyena, Springport plus Misdirection, which is just a secret to Bunnyhoppor.
Boy, this is
It could be Freezing Trap.
this turn is hard. And what I look at is Timberwolf, Springpaw, and Scavenging Hyena. The threat of Bunnyhopper's 6-cost cards go down a lot when that's the case. So if you fail to draw your own 6-cost, how do you best set up? So this is, to me, is not necessarily an immediacy setup. I think he probably will go for an immediate payoff.
Yeah, I think so too.
But I think that there's a lot of thinking here, and Viper kind of concluding the bluff value here is worth it.
Yep.
And then additionally, it's way too hard to plan out iterations for turn 5, 6, and 7 based off this one turn.
Bunnyhoppor picking up the hunting party here off of the Shimmerfly is interesting with respect to the practice that we had with this matchup, because I know that in our practice games with this exact mirror, TJ did hit Hunting Party into copying 2 Timberwolves and a Tundra Rhino for a 22 damage combo.
He killed me very quick.
He killed you very quickly
From
indeed.
Hunting Party. It actually prompted a large meme discussion where Darok then began planning out a Hunting Party OTK Hunter deck.
I'm just saying.
I'm interested.
I reckon I could hit some seriously high legend ranks very quickly.
Timberwolf. Bunnyhopper.
It's happening!
Bunnyhopper's building it live on stream.
Dude, he could go. It's actually something to consider now. Timberwolf, and then you go Master's Call to find yourself a Tundra Rhino.
Yeah, I do think you take the Timberwolf.
Yes,
I
it was
think
just the
Timberwolf's
best
strongest
card.
one.
Yes.
And with Unleash the Beast in hand, he doesn't feel it necessary to do too much. And I think he gets a wonderful sign there as he attacks and the Scavenging Hyena dies. Whew! Glad that didn't get out of hand.
I almost died.
And Viper now fails to find
Oh, man.
tracking, Master's Call, Dire Frenzy, Unleash the Beast, or Savannah Highmane.
That's what I was saying. Imagine if any of these beasts he'd found had been Savannah Highmane. Slamming it here puts him an unbelievable advantage. That's so good if he plays it here. But he's got nothing.
Honestly, I think it's pretty darn rare that you see a game playing out as methodically and piece by piece as you do with this mirror match.
It's true, yeah.
I think like when I think back to all the weeks of Grandmaster cast, even just like the last half decade of casting,
Yeah.
I think it's been very rare that I've seen a matchup quite like this.
And it feels like they're very similar every time in how the matchups shake out.
So Viper says alternate game plan time. I'm going to have to check an Unleash the Beast,
Yeah.
or I'm going to have to check a Highmane, which means I load up the board, I watch Bunnyhoppor do his thing, and then I hope I draw the right card. I think this is the right call from Viper.
So obviously this play from Viper, the main thing that I think it says to Bunnyhoppor is... Or actually does it? I was going to say it says I have Dire Frenzy in hand that I'm threatening to play.
Yes.
If he had that, would he have just gone Scale Hide, Dire Frenzy on this turn?
Well, there's the other thing to account for as well, which this also says to Bunnyhoppor, I need to draw Dire Frenzy in order to win this game. Do you want to let them try that?
I don't know. Because, I mean, the thing is, if Viper had the Dire Frenzy in hand, he wouldn't even necessarily have played it there, because it dilutes his deck with 2-mana 4/6 Lifesteal Rush minions. They are incredibly powerful, but that doesn't spend a lot of his mana. He really wants to find himself tracking and the Master's Call in particular.
Wow. That is some solid play.
Yep. Good reading there.
He just straight up was like, oh, that's definitely misdirection.
Well, I mean, it works out pretty well because he doesn't really want to attack into one of the vicious scale hides anyway, I don't believe.
It also prevents the vicious scale hide from living in the face of Dire Frenzy.
Yeah.
Wow. And Viper.
Oh man, this feels so bad. You can't play the Rhino. He's got the second Unleash the Beast, and he knows it.
The hunt for lethal. That's the spot Viper's in right now. How do I get lucky and kill my opponent?
And so I guess what I'm starting to realize with this matchup is it's just about making sure you can spend your mana for the longest amount of time, right? Like the first player who runs out of stuff and can't spend their mana effectively on developing minions every turn is a pretty discrete disadvantage. Because if you look at both these games, on turn 5 last game, Bunnyhoppor played a 1-1. Which is miserable, and he fell behind and just died to Huffers and the Dire Frenzy.
I mean, Viper played a 1-1.
Viper played, sorry, yeah, okay. Viper played a 1-1. And this game, he's just playing 2 1-3s on turn 6. I mean, does he play a? He can't play a Rhino.
He's just not
too bad.
He's just not drawn the goods. Yeah. Like he needed bigger payoffs than what he got. You know, this also set him up to be able to draw Mark Shot. It still set him up to be able to draw all those cards for a big payoff. But now he's starting to really fall behind.
Oh.
It's not a fault of Vipers in this game. It really is not. In fact, I look at this game and the way that Viper has thrown caution to the wind and played minions, it's given him more opportunities to draw cards that can answer back and fight.
It has. Imagine if Bunnyhoppor hadn't got the springboard off the top on turn 2. He might just be dead.
It's crazy how well Viper has played this game and just how far behind he is. Like that's another big rarity too, is being able to demonstrate exactly how you win games when you have below average hands, when you don't have the ideal situations. How do you set up to draw the best card?
Am I being too results oriented when I say that the Headhunter's Hatchet has done basically nothing this game?
I think it's too results oriented.
Okay.
Because I think what it does is it gives you aggressive initiative. And just, I mean, Viper is...
It has been terrible this game.
It has been, but again, look at all the draw opportunities that Viper has had.
That's fair.
And they still don't show up.
Yeah.
Not a single turn has he drawn an additional Master's Call, the Dire Frenzy, a March Shot, Unleash the Beast, Savannah Highmane, doesn't have Zul'jin, he's using kill commands to clear minions, like nothing has paid off.
Yeah.
Bad luck.
It is a bad beat. But he does now have the Tundra Rhino and both copies of, both of the twin spell copies of the one Unleash the Beast have been played. So maybe Viper just has to throw caution to the wind and pray that the Tundra Rhino will survive until the following turn. And then he top decks, I don't know, Master's Call or a Savannah Highmane.
I'm starting to look at attack face. And how do you do that and win? So my question is, can you do something crazy like Tundra Rhino Bistro Wrath?
That's what I'm looking at. Save the kill command.
Start chipping away with the Hatchet. The problem is, as soon as he attacks face with Hatchet, Bunnyhoppor knows exactly where Viper's headed.
Playing Tundra Rhino is just so bad, though.
It's really bad. This is basically the way that Viper could have won this game, and now he has to risk it. But I agree, he has to risk it. He's continued turn after turn. Unless he doesn't attack with his Hatchet! Maybe he doesn't want to give away the game plan. But I think attacking with that Hatchet is honestly very crucial there.
You think it was the right thing to do?
I think it's the way that you win the game. I haven't done exact damage breakpoints, but to me, if you're going to win from that Tundra Rhino sticking, it's going to be a damage close, because I think Bunnyhopper's going to be able to fight back from here.
I think the way that Viper wins this game is basically top deck Zul'jin, to be honest, at this point. I think he's in such
He's got to draw spells for them to work, too. Like
he's got an alright... he has
it's a companion?
Yeah, okay.
He Master's Called?
That's still okay. That's a powerful turn. It's not really 10 mana power.
Did he Master's Call? No, he Animal Companion.
He did Master's Call.
He did Master's Call.
Yeah.
Hey, he's got like nothing in the pool.
All right. Well, I mean,
I guess both kill commands could go face.
Yeah. Right, but he needs something like that to happen. If he can find himself a Dire Frenzy and then a Zul'jin, then maybe he can buff up and get...
You draw the Master's Call, you draw Savannah Highmane.
I don't know.
That's the next game plan.
Yeah, because now the burn plan is looking less and less likely to happen. Not only because Viper obviously has the vicious scale hide in play, but also because he's just going to kill you. Bunnyhopper's hand is way more threatening.
One copy of Unleash left in the deck.
And it was the worst draw in the deck? Pretty close to it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a bunch of draws that do effectively nothing.
I think this is the worst one. I think every other draw was superior, even down to Timberwolf.
So what is Viper's out then at this point? Because this turn is basically nothing. He can't really do anything on this turn.
Are we going to take into account Bunny's hand, or are we just looking at Viper's perspective?
Viper's perspective.
It's still Master's Call. It's still Unleash the Beast. You're going to have to draw the big stuff and Zul'jin.
I can see that. If he gets himself Unleash the Beast off the top, and then he goes like Unleash the Beast Master's Call, and then draws Zul'jin as the very next card, despite the fact he's just shuffled 3 cards into his deck. Like, we're at that point.
The life totals are still fairly high.
Yes, which is why he has maybe the time to go for plays like that.
Yeah. I can still see it happening. I'm just looking at Bunny's hand. It's really hard to detach my head from that.
Do you know what I'm looking at? The hunting party, my dude. Look at this. The value.
Yeah, skip that Savannah Hyman. Now,
as I've always said,
funnily enough, if you cast Hunting Party and then cast Zul'jin, you will end up with 4 Timberwolves in hand.
Now you're getting it. Now you're seeing it.
I cannot wait to build the worst Hunter deck of all time after this week.
Like, OTK Hunters have been floating around for a while. Who was it that put a young Dragonhawk in their Hunter deck? It was one of the Asia-Pacific players.
I think Blitzchung, I believe.
It could have been Blitzchung, yeah, to obviously go for a buff it up with the Dire Frenzy, and then Tundra Rhino, young Dragonhawk, young Dragonhawk, young Dragonhawk.
Yeah, forget that buffing nonsense. I just want to play a bunch of Timberwolves all at once.
Oh,
okay. The problem is Savannah Hyman's down, so your clock is limited. And you don't have any vicious scale hides in the deck, so you can't use the Dire Frenzy stuff.
Okay.
But the time is nigh. You can also start to build the board and answer back with double Timberwolf Unleash. Is there something there?
So if we were to see Timberwolf kill command the Hyena, then Unleash, that kills off everything, and you can even keep 2 1/1s in play if you tank one of them with the hatchet.
I want a counterattack for Viper's perspective.
So what does that mean?
I think you just jam a Savannah Hyman.
Okay.
So I think the goal for Viper now is to get Bunnyhoppor into a big board state and counter punch with Unleash the Hounds, double Timberwolf. I think that's the way he's going to win.
I don't think that ever gets there. I think that's very, very optimistic.
I don't think trading's going to work.
Quickly.
But Viper does not know that Bunnyhoppor has Zul'jin in hand. Maybe his thinking is, I trade on the board, I get even, and then I play Zul'jin that I draw off the top, and Bunnyhoppor does not have it.
I
like this playing.
I don't think that's an unmerited thought.
I think that one. Unmeritus.
Is it unmerited?
I haven't heard it before. I like it, though. I have no idea.
Without merit?
I like it a lot.
Something about merit. This plays fine.
Yes. It does not lack merit.
It accomplishes a clear, distinct game plan. Draw my most powerful card.
Yeah. So now Viper, good lord, is ahead on board. It's happened.
12 quotey fingers.
Well, I mean, I'm not wrong.
Not yet.
I sure as hell will be. So I think I like not going for the Zul'jin this turn. You don't really need to go for it quite yet. I think you can go for a super powerful turn without the aid of the big axe.
Definitely agree. Your opponent has just used a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Does he replay a freezing trap when he plays Zul'jin? Or was that last game that he played the freezing trap?
For
Bunnyhoppor?
That was last game.
Last game, okay. Because that could shut down a Savannah Hyman.
Yeah, and Bunnyhoppor finds his own counterattack.
Cool. And this one is most assuredly not ill-meritus. Yeah, you only really got one play here. But he can't even kill off the Rhino as well.
Oh, yeah, that's the reason that Bunnyhoppor did this, is so you couldn't kill off the Rhino.
Yeah.
That's smart.
So how much damage here does Bunnyhoppor have? Oh, can he go for Hunting Party to double the Timberwolf?
If he draws a Timberwolf.
Well, he's got one.
Well, you draw a Timberwolf, then you get 4 Timberwolves.
Oh. 4, 2, 2, 8.
8 plus 5 plus 2.
He has lethal, right? He doubles the Timberwolves. He plays both Timberwolves. He kill commands face. That's 4 and 2 and 2.
That's 8 plus 4 plus 2. Or 8 plus 5 plus 2, right?
8 plus 5 plus 2. Oh, does he have other ways of doing it?
Probably.
Boring!
You just yelled boring at him.
Okay, he got the lethal. He got the win. I wanted to see the Hunting Party
He did it
lethal.
more meta efficiently.
Whatever. Either way, Viper, unfortunately, after a pretty miserable couple of games there, just unable to develop anything onto the board, not finding the refill, loses 0-2 to Bunnyhoppor.
It really is an unfortunate pan out for Viper there. I think that, you know, my hat's off to Viper for still showing impressive stuff at the end of this game, but Bunnyhoppor, at every single step of the way, was capitalizing on that from Viper's side as well, which is another important facet when you're in mirror matches, and especially matchups that can be volatile, is you have to find ways to capitalize as soon as your opponent is showing weakness.
And I think this deck for both of these players was actually just a pretty good bring, not only in terms of where it slots in the meta, but for their play styles, which are definitely pretty similar, I would say, both as practice partners and as players, because it's not too flashy, I would say. It just rewards very strong technical play, and therefore taking their time on every turn, thinking through all the possibilities. I think it really suits both of these players' play styles, which is why even though Viper took the loss here, I think he's still in a good chance of taking the next series in this week.
I definitely agree with that one. Just sometimes things don't go your way. Bunnyhoppor able to take it, which moves him up to a 3-2 match record now, and it sounds like we have an interview ready with him. Bunnyhoppor, can you hear us?
Yep.
Hey, Hello, congratulations on your win. Where are you right now?
I'm in Munich. I'm going to a friend's wedding tomorrow. I used to study here in Munich, and he's getting married tomorrow, so I came down here.
Oh, that's so sweet. Congratulations to your friend, and hope you have a lot of fun at that one. Talk to me about the deck here. Did you prepare with Viper this week, or since you guys are playing, did you prepare separately?
No, I mean, you can see the deck list are 90 cards the same. We did prepare together. We usually do prepare together every week, or we might not bring the same thing every week because we have different opponents, but we usually try to practice together every week, and yeah.
I want to know, given that you have been doing pretty well so far in Grandmasters and obviously very well last year with HCT, I want your opinion on how you played that game. Was there anything you think you could have improved on there, or was your overall game plan pretty strong in terms of what you're trying to do in the mirror?
I mean, I think I have a decent game plan of what I was trying to do in the mirror. I'm also quite confident about my tracking picks, but I would have to rewatch it. The only thing I felt was he got pretty unfortunate with his draws, and I could see that his hand didn't plan out too much at all. I was kind of surprised at how behind I was in game 2 by turn 5, because if he just has a high main there, I'm really, really far behind, and my hand doesn't do a lot of anything. But I mean, you saw him draw the hyena on 2, right? And I played around that. And you saw him draw a hyena on 5, and I tried to play around that. So I think it was fine. I don't know. I played around the cards he had, and it seemed to work out fine.
What is it like playing against Bunnyhoppor? I'm sorry, playing against Viper in these kinds of situations? I mean, you guys have faced World Championships now. You're playing in Grandmasters and some pretty, I think, crucial matches, given the records. Like, is this a bittersweet thing for you? Like, just overall, what are your thoughts on having to play against such a close friend?
Yeah, I think him and Casey are the two people where, like, I win against them, and I'm obviously glad that I won, but, you know, I'm not, like, super happy, like, the norm when I usually win a match in Grandmasters. And I don't know, it's kind of bittersweet because, of course, one of us has to win, one of us has to lose, and I'd rather win against everybody else but them. So, but of course I want to take the win, right? At the end of the GM, it counts who's at the top of the standings.
So what point do you think are you not going to be practicing? with them. Do you think that for Viper and Casey, no matter what stage you get to in the playoffs, or for example in Masters Tour with Vegas coming up, is it always just going to be the inseparable trio, or will it eventually kind of go a little bit more animosity?
I mean, we also practice with other people and get like ideas and try to communicate. So you just don't always just run around in a circle trying to just iterate the same ideas over and over. It's always important to also have ideas from other people from outside coming in, but I don't see anything coming between us in terms of anything that would stop us from preparing together in the future.
All right. Well, Bunnyhoppor, congratulations on your win today. Pretty impressive stuff, as usual. And looking forward to seeing you play later this week.
Thank you.
Ain't nothing stopping these friends.
Just like you said earlier, the power of friendship.
It truly is.
That was the first point you made, and that was the final point that he made.
Cohesion.
That means all my points were wrong.
That's exactly what that means.
And unlike their friendship, I can't wait to beat you when I play you next time. In fact, if I lose, I'm going to lose it.
Always a good sportsman, Honorable.
It's one of my finer qualities, for certain. That's match 5. That's wrapped up for us. This means we got the post game that's coming up. We're going to be shipping it off to the Americas with TJ and Frodan, but we're going to review what's happened so far and be taking care of business from there. So stick around. We got some fun coming up.